Hey, this is Dave with Level Up Woodworking, and today I'm going to review a project I did over a year ago. We're going to kind of go back here in time and see how it's done and talk about how successful it's been for me in my shop and hopefully for you in your shop. Let's get started. Now, what I'm talking about today is this air filtration cart. I built this about a year ago. I did a video on the build. I actually have plans available for sale if people are interested. And this by far has been the most popular video that I've done, and I really want to thank you for watching. I've done a lot of videos since then, but this still stands out as the #1 video. So let's get started. Now, I use this air filtration cart in my shop all the time, especially when I'm cutting a lot of wood. I'll set it next to my table saw or maybe my band saw, or when I'm doing some sanding, because I know that this will help eliminate some of that. I have installed a dust collector system with a HEPA filter on it, and I've got that hooked up to my band saw and my table saw and my planer. But I still use this. I wear a GSM mask that I purchased with air filters. I still use this because I want to filter as much dust out of the air as I possibly can. Now, one of the things that I like about this filter, other than just collecting dust, is the extension cord, so I can place it anywhere I want, the tabletop that I have, and the remote on-off switch, which I'll talk about a little bit later. I've added this assembly table. I've added a miter saw table to my shop, and I still use the top of this to collect tools because it's usually close by anywhere I'm doing a build, and it's a great place to set tools that I need to use on a regular basis. Now, a couple of the more popular comments that I've gotten about this is there's always a question about airflow on this. And the air flows into the filters and out the back of the fan. Now, I really kind of did that because I want to be able to see the filters and kind of know when they're dirty. I could have gone the other way, flip the fan around, have the air go in the fan and collect dust inside the unit. But then I would have to take a filter off to see how much dust I have. And I didn't want to do that. I've had it for a year. It works well for me. I think you could do it either way if you wanted to. The other question I had was, how do I attach the filters to the cart? And I've used screws with a washer here to be able to do that. It didn't make it in the filter that I had last February because I just cut a lot of stuff when I tried to put the thing together, and I didn't want it to be too long, so sorry about that. The other comment that I got was adding a 4th filter on the bottom, and that could definitely be done. That would give me 25% more filter space for this, having a 4th filter. But with these 3 filters, I already get 1,200 square inches of filter to be able to run the dust through. A 4th filter would add 25%. But I think the 3 are good enough for what I'm trying to do with this particular cart, especially when I have a dust collector and a mask. Now, I've chosen to use MERV 13 air filters on this. It cleans out 90% of dust from 3 microns to 10 microns and 85% of dust from 1 micron to 3 microns. That's pretty good. I could put MERV 16 filters on this, which work a little bit better. I could also put HEPA filters in here, which would be really expensive. But I figure the fact that I've got a dust collector and I wear a mask, I think the MERV 13 does a great job for me. Now, if you saw a video I did a couple of months ago, it was called The War on Dust, and I really talked about kind of the experience of I've gone through with dust management, this is part of that. But this, combined with my mask and my dust collector, I think I've taken the prudent steps to try to manage dust in my garage, which is my wood shop. I've seen a number of different studies on wood dust. There's one by Applied Sciences that came out a year ago. I'll put a link to that in the description below. You might find that interesting. They went through and studied 6 different woods, and they looked at less than 2.5 micron and less than 10 micron, which wood contributed the most to that. And I think with the things that I'm doing to collect dust, I'm really trying to capture most of that dust that I can get. Probably can't get all of it, but I'm trying to get most of it if I can. Now, the things that I like about this particular air filtration cart, well, hey, it works. It collects a lot of dust. This thing probably cost me around $120 to build, much less expensive than those ceiling mount systems that you can buy online. I like the way this works. The other thing I like is the tabletop. I love having that space. I have added so much tabletop in the last year since I built this cart, and I still don't have enough space. And I love having this sitting around where I'm working, where I'm cutting wood, to be able to set tools, pick up those tools and use them and put them back there. That's a great feature for me. And part of making that possible is having this built-in extension cord. I can plug this into a plug and roll this thing around on the wheels, put it anywhere I want, lock the wheels in place, and I'm good to go. And I love having that feature as well. I also have a remote on-off for this, which I really like, but I've had one problem. I've got a dust collector in my assembly table with a remote on-off, and it's both the same company. So I got to a point where I would turn the fan on for the air filtration cart, and the vacuum would come on in the table. Didn't like that. So I had to disconnect one of these to make the other one work properly. I think if I would have gotten a different product, then I had 2 different products, they probably work on 2 different codes and would work fine. I did a lot of research on the on-off switch that I did get, and I couldn't find anything that would allow me to kind of change the codes so that the remotes would work independently, which is kind of a bummer. That's something I would definitely look into if I tried to do this again. The other thing I would consider is putting reusable filters in this cart. I've got 3 filters here. I think it cost me about $55 for 6 of them, so I can get 2 sets of filters through this. It would cost me about $120 for 3 filters that I could pull out and wash off. I think in the long run that's going to pay off, but in the short run it's going to be a little more expensive. So I'm still considering going the route of the reusable filters that I can hose down. I've had some of those for my house furnace filter before. They've worked great, and I might go to that for this as well. So hey guys, that's my review of this cart. I would definitely build this again. I really like having this as part of my shop. I'm sure there's other uses for something like this elsewhere in home settings. Any place where you want to filter out the air, this is a great thing to use. I've had a lot of fun using this in my shop. I think it helps me. And I probably wouldn't change too much about this. I really kind of like the design the way it is. I bet you guys have some comments about this as well, and I'd love to hear from you. If you haven't subscribed, I've got some great videos coming up. I've got a wine wall installation that I'm doing here pretty soon. I think that's going to be pretty cool. So if you're not subscribed, please do. I would certainly appreciate it. And stay tuned for the next videos coming up. Thanks.